From the UNC School of Journalism and Mass Communication, covering Carolina in HD, this is a Carolina Week election special.
Good evening and welcome to the Carolina Week election special. I'm Elizabeth Chu.
And I'm Susanna Black. Thanks for joining us. During the next hour or so, we'll profile the candidates for Student Body President and senior class officers.
And we'll have the results to you just as soon as the Board of Elections has them tabulated.
Reporter Ben Smart is live at the Board of Elections headquarters. Ben, what are you hearing from elections officials regarding when we might know if we have a new SBP or if we're looking at a runoff a week from now?
Hey, Susanna, I'm live here outside of the Board of Elections where they are finishing up deliberating the results of the elections tonight. They're here right behind me and they're finishing up. We should have those results for you around 9:50 tonight, so stay with us. Now, all the voting on this year was online on a ballot. We're going to put that ballot up on your screen right now. Now, they sent a reminder out to students at around 12 a.m. this morning to remind them to vote, and students had until 8 p.m. to vote. Now, as you can see here, there are 3 choices, and they could also choose to fill in other if they chose not to vote for those candidates. Now, like I said, we should have those results for you around 9:50 tonight as we continue to bring you live coverage of the events. Susanna, back to you.
Thanks, Ben. We'll check in with you periodically with the hopes of hearing results sometime in the next half hour. Just today, David Marsh got an official endorsement from the Daily Tar Heel. Nikki Mandel tells us how he got that last-minute support.
From prime time to off hours.
Dude, my name's Dave.
Cool, vote for you, man. His name's Dave, too.
The David Marsh campaign seems to never take a break.
Campaign season, it's a lot like Groundhog Day. You wake up every morning and it's just like same thing over and over again.
That's because Marsh has been taking steps towards his goal of student body president since freshman year.
First year orientation over the summer, Will Limenthal spoke, and I thought, wow, that's a neat opportunity. It's a very accessible office, and so something that I started to think about seriously.
From that point on, Marsh made connections on campus, founding social fraternity Alpha Sigma Phi, and with local leaders, helping advise the town council about housing and transportation.
I think I'd be well suited for that role, to be the liaison between the students and administrators.
Another gap he wants to bridge, student government and smaller groups on campus.
Meeting with different organizations on campus, they say, look, we don't really feel the ripples. We don't feel represented when the student body president changes, and I want to make sure that everyone has a seat at the table.
A lot of his platform is based on renovating outdated programs like general education requirements.
I think that if you're in an a cappella group or the marching band where you spend 6 days a week doing that, I think that should count for a VP credit.
Also, campus transportation methods like bikes.
But the problem is, the program is it's a A to B bike sharing program. You have to bring the bike back to A. But my goal is to implement, and the goal of Tardo Bikes, is to implement a bike sharing program where you can ride from A to B and leave the bike at B.
But big picture, Marsh and his supporters want to renovate UNC's reputation.
Being at home over the summer and having people, say, how do you feel now that your degree is worthless and things like that really irritates me.
Above all, he hopes to help students believe in Carolina again.
Believe in Carolina!
In Chapel Hill, I'm Nikki Mandel.
Now, whether an endorsement from the student newspaper will be enough to help Marsh get elected is unclear. But in an election that typically attracts only about 10 to 15% voter turnout, it can't hurt.
Life experience is something all 3 candidates for Student Body President bring to the table, but some have more than others. At 27, Houston Summers is the oldest candidate on the ballot, and he says his journey to Carolina gives him a unique perspective for uniting the university. Emily Mann reports.
Lots of students at UNC come from diverse backgrounds. Houston Summers is no different.
So my dream to become a student body president actually, I guess, could be traced all the way back to when I was diagnosed with a tumor when I was 11 years old.
That experience inspired him to help others, which is why he says he's now pursuing medicine at Carolina. But that's not the only thing that sets Summers apart. He also played professional baseball for 7 years. It's there, he says, he learned the importance of leadership, something he hopes to emphasize in his campaign for Student Body President.
Being around truly great leaders, people that understand how to build a team, people that understand how to relate to individuals on a more personal level, that's what I've gained.
He hopes to use this perspective to create an effective team to run his administration if elected. His platform, uniting the student body to facilitate important conversations, moving the university in a positive direction for the next generation.
So One Carolina really came from this idea of making sure that we're all at the table, that we're all moving the same direction, that we celebrate our differences, and that we advocate for those that are being left out of the conversation.
The key to that, he says, is getting more student voices heard.
Recently, something that's really come up in the conversation is renaming Saunders Hall to Hurston Hall. I think that's one step we can take to making Carolina a safer place for all.
Focusing on affordability, athletics reform, and innovation, Summer's platform relies heavily upon cooperation and conversation.
I think the goal for us is really making sure that everyone is at the table, that everyone has a voice, and that we're all moving together in a positive light as one.
So how will he balance his schedule of pre-med classes, varsity athletics, and the responsibilities of being student body president?
It is going to be challenging. It absolutely will be challenging.
But he says building a supportive team around him will allow him to continue to thrive academically and maintain his personal relationships if he's elected. In Chapel Hill, I'm Emily Mann reporting.
Summers has gotten a lot of ribbing about his age, so he's embraced it. He put up a video of himself reading mean tweets about him, such as Houston Summers, aka Mr. Still Yo Mom. Finally, we have a candidate that understands colon health. And our favorite, how are you going to be a varsity athlete, run the school, and be a father to your son? Savior complex much? Hashtag take your kid to work day.
Oh my goodness. During the past couple years, the role of student body president has been a boys club. But this year, Catherine Walker says there ain't no mountain high enough to keep her from getting elected. Our AJ Nwoko has the story.
Walker for SVP, let's bring Carolina together.
Meet Catherine Walker, a 20-year-old journalism and political science double major from Morehead City. Walker says she plans to put her campaign slogan, Carolina Together, in action.
What I'm trying to do is really bring Carolina together and make sure that there is student representation for all students within student government and take care of the disconnect that has happened within student government and between student government and students and really bring students back into student government.
Walker says it all starts with communication.
To handle communication, I would like the School of Journalism and Mass Communication to come in and do a communication audit of student government. So essentially that would tell us exactly what we're doing wrong and how we can fix it.
And with her platform, Walker believes that she can fix those problems.
I'm running on a platform of unity, safety, and affordability. So unity through a campus leadership council that brings together sectors of campus together on student government and holds the student body president accountable. And then safety through a strong sexual assault prevention policy, and affordability is through keeping not only tuition low for all students, but making sure that the college life is affordable.
And on another issue, Walker says she understands more has to be done concerning diversity.
I'm a white, middle-class, straight female, and I'm the most diversity we have running this year. That's a problem. We need to make sure that students of diversity feel like they have an opportunity to run.
And Walker says she finds her motivation to campaign in a 1960s classic.
Ain't No Mountain High Enough, Diana Ross version. Now, I have a lot of respect for Marvin Gaye and Tammy Terrell, but if you listen to the Diana Ross version, it pumps you up and makes you laugh at the same time. It's the ultimate motivational song.
So whether she wins or loses, as with the words of the song, Walker vows she'll be there when you need her, some way, somehow. In Chapel Hill, I'm AJ Nwoko reporting.
Walker says although she can't guarantee she'll get elected, her parents will take her out for cheese fries no matter the outcome.
And Andrew Powell is the current SPP and was in the same situation last year that Walker's in. Summer and Marsh, we're all in right now, waiting. So Andrew, this past year, the university has, gone through some challenges with the Wayne Student Report, athletic reform. I'm curious to know, do you feel like during your time as president, you were prepared to handle that? Do you feel like you did a good job?
Well, that's a great question. It's been a huge learning year. I've learned so much through this year, and I couldn't have done it without the support of the people that have been in student government, been working with me every day, had a chance to work with the Board of Trustees, Chancellor Folt, and they all have been so supportive and welcoming, and it's been a tough year for sure. We've dealt with some tough issues, but I feel like it's been very much worth the effort, even though it's been a lot of work.
Andrew, what do you think the biggest challenge is facing the next president?
Well, I think this group of candidates honestly faced a lot of unfair criticism before they even started campaigning for real. I mean, the campus and the student body have not really rallied behind them and given them the credit they deserve for putting themselves out there and putting in hundreds of hours of work to be prepared. So I think whoever wins, to all three candidates, I give them a huge pat on the back. They have really put themselves out there, and I'm proud of them for doing that. And whoever wins, I hope that the student body will truly rally behind them.
You know, it's a tough job being student body president,
Sure.
but also you're a student at the same time. So how do you balance that?
It's a very tough balance. That's true. I probably put in 50 or 60 hours a week of student body president work, and then trying to get schoolwork done on top of that. I'm a full-time student, as well as have somewhat of a sane, personal life. So it's been a lot of work, a lot of late nights. But as I said, I've got a great team around me. My vice president, Kyle Villamain, has been just a saint. I mean, he has helped so much and kept me sane through the year. That's been probably the biggest way that I've been able to balance it.
Looking back on this last year, what are you most proud of?
Well, when I decided to run for student body president, it was to try and change the way that we think about introductory classes, how classes are taught at UNC. The flipped classroom was a big project of mine, a passion of mine, and I think we've made significant progress on that. And I'm really proud to look back on the year that we've achieved. And I hope that this will be something that resonates through the years as a big impact on the learning experience for all Carolina students.
Thank you so much for joining us, Andrew.
Glad
And
to
of
be
course,
here.
you'll hang around as we all wait to see who the next student body president will be.
Thanks, Andrew.
Thank you.
Carolina Week's special election coverage continues
right after the break. Welcome back to Carolina Week's election night coverage. The SPP race isn't the only contest on the ballot. Let's go live to Jacqueline Lee in our newsroom. Jacqueline, our coverage tonight is brought to you by the number 3. 3 SPP candidates and 3 sets of senior class officer candidates.
That's right, 3 pairs of senior class candidates are trying to be the next senior class's Bert and Ernie. While that unstoppable duo has brought comedy into the homes of many, these candidates are competing for the opportunity to bring the best possible senior year experience to their fellow classmates. First, let's clarify what senior class officers do. They organize events for the graduating class. They try to create memories that will make the last year at Carolina as memorable as it can be. There are 3 teams in the running. Let's start off with Brent McKnight and Ying Lin. Their motto is work hard, play hard, serve hard. Lin grew up in Winston-Salem and is double majoring in business and global studies. McKnight is from Charlotte and is double majoring in history and global studies with a minor in philosophy, politics, and economics. The cornerstone of the duo's campaign is to host a Joy Prom, a prom for special needs kids. Next up are Kat Leopold and Max Williams. Leopold hails from Chevy Chase, Maryland. She's double majoring in journalism and global studies. Williams comes from Cincinnati, Ohio. He's majoring in peace, war, and defense with a double minor in Arabic and business. They want to implement something called Senior Storytime. This event would take place monthly with different seniors sharing their stories. Now, the stories don't necessarily need to be Carolina related, but they will adhere to a certain theme. Last up is Randolph McKinney and Ajeen Robinson Burris. McKinney, from Panama City Beach, Florida, is double majoring in peace, war, and defense and global studies. He's minoring in philosophy, politics, and economics. Robinson Burris is from Grand Rapids, Michigan, and is double majoring in global studies and philosophy with a minor in classical humanities. These two want to start a monthly senior impact weekend. Each event would feature a theme like sexual assault and then celebrate organizations across campus that are related to this topic. So, Elizabeth and Susanna, within the next 30 minutes to an hour, we should know not only who the new student body president is, but also who will lead the senior class next school year.
Jacqueline Lee live in our newsroom with a roundup of the senior class officer candidates. Thanks, Jacqueline.
The current senior class officers join us now. Sasha, Seymour, president, take us back to this time a year ago.
Obviously, the elections themselves are very stressful, so I can understand what all of them are going through. But But in and of itself, it's also a very exciting time, and I'm excited for all three of the candidates. I've had a chance to meet each and every one of them, and they're all, I think, very qualified, and I'm very excited to see who I'll be able to work with for the next coming months, and then who'll be able to take over next year.
You know, I'm curious to know, how would you describe this past year? What's it been like for you?
A lot of things. It's been challenging, it's been exciting, it's been emotional, but I think above all, it's been an incredible learning experience and incredible time. Alexis and I have been blessed to have some incredible senior marshals, and I think we've been able to put on a lot of senior events that people have really enjoyed. And we're just really excited to keep doing it for the next couple months. I mean, I think when you think of the senior class officers, it's really about what can you do to make senior year really, really special. And we've still got about a half of the year left, and this is when I think people really kick in that, oh, they're seniors, and oh, this is when I'm graduating. And so I think our office just becomes even more and more important and involved.
What was your best moment looking back on this last year?
I mean, there's been a lot of them. I mean, Alexis, I'm certain, has had some too, but there's just been a lot of experiences that we've had that have just been inspiring. I mean, dedicating the class of 2015 Habitat for Humanity House, that was a really special event. A couple of our bar nights where we just really got a ton of senior participation. And then we've got a lot of great events coming up. I mean, just a lot of different stuff. It's hard to put a number on one.
Okay, Sasha, thank you so much for being with us tonight as you get ready to pass the torch on to the next set of senior class officers.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Coming up after the break,
we hope to give you the results and the names of the new student body president and senior class representatives. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to this special edition of Carolina Week Student Government Elections coverage. We're joined now by Alexis White, Senior Class Vice President. How are you, Alexis?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Good. Thanks so much for joining us.
No problem.
Had quite a busy year. Probably learned a lot from it as well. And so I'm curious, what kind of advice do you have for the next incoming Senior Class Vice President?
That's a great question. I think for Sasha and I, one of the things we've tried to stress to all the candidates and to anyone that was thinking about running for this position is to make sure that your motives for being the senior class representative is to truly represent the class, meaning that you're in this role to serve and to make sure that your classmates have the best senior year possible. And that requires you making a lot of sacrifices, so be prepared to serve.
Alexis, what was the best advice that you were given coming into office last year?
Coming into office? Okay, so coming into office, the best advice that I was given was making sure that you're leading and you're listening and be willing to lead by example. And what that means is we have a cabinet of about 50 seniors, and so listening to their ideas is important in order for us to really maximize our potential as leaders. And also being willing to lead by example, meaning anything that I ask them to do, I want to make sure that I'm willing to do the same thing, if not more.
What was one of the favorite things that you did this year? Anything in particular jumps to the forefront of your mind?
I think the Habitat for Humanity house that we were working on, we're building a house for one of the Carolina Dining Services workers, and to be able to give that house back to the Carolina community has been really exciting and a great experience.
How important was teamwork between you and Sasha this last year?
Sasha and I are a team in every sense of the word. We think alike. We will finish each other's sentences from time to time. And honestly, we don't make sense without each other in terms of leading our senior class. And so that was why we decided to do it together. And so I couldn't imagine doing this without him, and I know he'd say the same.
That's great. Thank you so much for joining us, Alexis.
Thank you for having me.
Let's go back over to the Board of Elections office in the Student Union to our reporter, Ben Smart. Ben, do we have the results?
That's right, Susanna. I'm here live outside of the Board of Elections where we have the results you've all been waiting for. I'm here live with Alex Piasecki, Chair of the Board of Elections. Alex, do you have the results for the student body presidents for the next academic year?
We do. Unfortunately, we will have to wait another week. We have, unfortunately, no candidate received more than 50% of the vote, so we'll have a runoff between Houston Summers and Catherine Walker. Houston Summers received 35.64% of the vote. Catherine Walker received 26.48% of the vote, and David Marsh will not be continuing, but he received 21.16% of the vote.
Well, there you have it, folks. We have a runoff for the student body president. So join us again next week for that coverage. Now on to the senior class officers. Do you have the results for us tonight, Alex?
Yes, so senior class officers, a similar situation. No one candidate received more than 50% of the vote. So we'll have a runoff between Kat Leopold, Max Williams campaign, and also the Yingling and Brent McKnight campaign. Kat Leopold and Max got 37.19% of the vote. Yingling and Brent McKnight got 34.57% of the vote. And the third will be, coming in third was Randolph and Argene, and they got 19.8% of the vote, but they will not be continuing on into the runoff.
All right, Alex, those results are pretty surprising. Were you expecting to see what came out tonight?
Yeah, runoff is not uncommon for a student body president. It's very difficult for one candidate to receive over 50% of the vote, or the majority, in the first set of elections. So this runoff really helps kind of determine who will be the main two competitors coming into this next stretch.
Now, we were talking earlier, and you mentioned that there were several notable write-ins, more than previous years. Can you talk for that a minute?
Sure. So, for example, in the student body president race, we had over 403 votes, I think, for Zora Neale Kirsten. So that's a kind of rare to get that many votes for one particular write-in candidate. It wasn't big enough to make any kind of impact in the final election results, but surprising nonetheless for a student body president election.
Yeah, these are pretty unexpected results. I mean, you weren't expecting this to happen.
Yeah, no, not for the write-ins. That's a bit surprising.
Yeah. All right, well, thanks so much, Alex. Thanks for joining us.
Nope, no problem.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah.
Good luck.
All right, well, there you have it, folks. Congratulations to all the candidates who are going on to the next rounds. We will see you again next week for the runoff show. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Ben. There you have it, a runoff.
Yeah, who knew?
Stay with us.
Welcome back to Carolina Week's special election night coverage. I'm joined now by Houston Summers. Houston, congratulations on making it to the runoff. How does it feel?
It's great. It's a surreal feeling. This last week's been exhausting, but really fun at the same time. It's really exciting to see everyone on the team come together and pull for one common goal. And fortunately, we get another week together and try to do it all over again.
Talk to us a little bit about the main goals of your platform.
So the main goals of our platform are affordability, athletics reform, and innovation. Affordability, obviously, we want school to be affordable for everyone, and that's something that we plan on working with Town Council, RHA, Carolina Dining Service, as well as the Board of Governors to make sure those costs remain low. Athletics reform, we've done a lot of things centered around the Weinstein Report and making sure that communication stays open. And then innovation, we want to think about ways in which we can innovatively solve issues around campus, as well as provide platforms for our young, aspiring business individuals that want to make an impact in the world.
Yeah. How does your experience as a student athlete and even as a policymaker really set you apart and maybe even give you a little bit of an advantage when it comes to some of the reforms that you talk about with athletics?
Sure. So with athletics, I've spent the last 7 years in the professional world, and then of course the last 3 years in college athletics, and that is something that it's an experience that you can't really replace, and that's something that you have to know intricately all the details that go into it to be able to make informed policy. So I think in that regard, that does kind of set me apart.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks. Next, we have Catherine Walker, who's also participating in the runoff. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
So talk to us a little bit about the goals of your platform.
Great. So my platform focuses on unity, safety, and affordability. And that means first bringing the campus together, making sure that all student voices are heard, that everyone has a place within student government. Safety comes with creating a safe space on campus, making sure that we're using the initiatives we have and reinforcing those, but also with a strong sexual assault prevention policy. And then affordability is keeping the college life affordable to all students and keeping tuition low, and that comes through a strong external relations team.
And you have a lot of experience with external relations. You were actually part of the external relations committee for the town of Chapel Hill.
Yes, so I'm actually Deputy Director of State and External Affairs. So I advocate on behalf of students to the General Assembly and bring that experience with me into what I'm doing now.
With athletic reform, as we were just talking about with Houston, what are you going to do if you find that student athletes aren't being held to the same standard as other students?
I would like to quote Dean Smith in saying that we need to emphasize the student part of student athlete and making sure that while we're here at school, an education is what comes first. And I think that's truly what athletes want, that they are here, one, to play a sport, but also to get an education, and making sure that they are receiving the same education and the same opportunities here that all other students are receiving.
One of your big ideas is unity. Specifically, you state that some students can't even say what their student government has done for them at the end of the year. So how are you hoping to get more unity between our students and our student government?
I think that comes through communication. So I would like to bring in the School of Journalism and have them do a communication audit, which for those of us in the PR field, we know sort of the ins and outs of that, but essentially it's going to tell us what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, and how we can fix it. And we are then better to able represent students because they know what we're doing for them. That's the first step, is that communication.
Okay, Catherine Walker, one of two in the runoff for Student Body President. Yeah. Congratulations again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being with us. Thanks for being with us for this special edition of Carolina Week, Student Government Elections Coverage 2015.
And thanks for watching. Have a good night.